it was fascinating because the show was based on WQXI here in Atlanta, here in Atlanta, and the turkey drop actually happened. The general manager of Quixie actually wore that kind of bizarre clothing. The sales manager actually wore that kind of bizarre clothing. It was just, you know, it was just such an inside joke. Week after week after week, it was hard not to wake up. The thing I probably most admired about the show was the counter that Loni had, because you were the intelligent blonde. And I had female sales managers who would compliment me because I didn't give them any grief because working for a woman, because back in that era, that was a really unheard of thing. A lot of people didn't like working for a woman.
It was very innovative when we did it because Hugh Wilson, who created the show.
And Atlanta boy.
Yeah. And
created the show.
And I wasn't blonde, really for the pilot. And we talked about what Jennifer was going to be. And she could have gone just typically window dressing, which we talked about. And he said he really wanted it to be Lana Turner and the smartest person in the room. And so I think for me what was so exciting is there weren't glamorous, funny, smart people on TV. We have a lot of them now, but you have to know, those of you who don't remember way back when, is that wasn't a popular thing. So it was a big deal. It was a very big deal to have a sweater girl with smart people.
My question is which actor played a part that was 180 degrees away from the person that they really were?
Yeah, I think it's me.
Yeah, I think it's
Because I always showed up in a suit and tie to rehearsals.
I have to tell you, Howard is like the most fashionable, erudite, sophisticated. He is. He's just all that. And so, when, you know, he was only supposed to be in the pilot. I don't know if any of you know that is a trivia question, but he was so successful in the pilot and everybody loved him so much. That's why he was on the show. Are you going to comment?
No, I'm just going to agree with you.
I still use that turkey drop line whenever I do anything incredibly stupid that I know my wife will kill me for. I just look at her and I say, God is my witness. I thought turkeys could fly.
I had someone tell me today, while I was signing a photo for them, that they had planned to come up to me and say that they were the phone police and I was under
My question is for Loni.
Yes.
One of my favorite episodes is one where we're doing promo shots for you and you get pictures up inappropriately. And at the very end of the episode, you actually look at the photos. I was wondering, did they actually have something for you? Because you look so impressed with yourself. They're like,
Oh,
got you.
great acting. It was just...
I know, it was so disappointing for the rest of us.
Howard, there was the envelope and everything, and of course I take the envelope out at the end, and I've been photographed not knowing in a dressing room naked, and they were trying to sell it to a magazine. And finally, the guys go and steal all the negatives back and give them to me. And they all think about looking at them, but they decide not to, and they hand them to me, and I am going to set a match to them, and then I change my mind, and I take them out and say, and and I remember Howard said, "Let me see that."
I wanted verifiable truth.
Thank you.
Howard, you had a night guy tendering Venus. So how did all that work out with you guys
nice things about KRP and the production, and specifically Hugh Wilson, the creator, is that he agreed from the get-go that we could choose our own music and write our own pattern to go with it, which is what DJs do. CBS at that point said, no, you can't name the artists, you can't name the record. What else do DJs talk about? We only do so much weather and traffic reporting. But Tim had his own bag, his own music bag that he was picking from, and I did too. I thought that Fever would be a soul man from the 60s, you know, who wanted Stax Gold and James Brown and stuff with some grease and some groove.
But there were also a lot of hits that premiered on our show that weren't hits yet.
Yeah, we did try to follow charts and, you know, occasionally pick something new, so we weren't always stuck in the past. But for me, that didn't work too well.
And for you, because we've already talked about a little bit, about just the way Herb was with Jennifer and stuff. How was Frank on all this?
Well, Frank, honest to goodness, is such a darling guy and so funny, but he wouldn't give it to you until the night of the show. And so he would just blow us away, upstage us. He was like fantastic, and we were just like, oh, because he kind of kept it back, right? Yeah, and then he would just knock you dead. And he was brilliant, a really good comedian. He still is. He's just a lovely man. Married his high school sweetheart, and is living happily ever after. But a funny, funny guy. He always saved a little bit.
He let it. Thank you very much. He let it sneak up on him. You could kind of see him putting the pieces together in the course of the week, but you didn't know what it was going to be until Friday. And then bingo, there it was, the whole thing fleshed out. With stuff that you, as Lonnie was saying, you couldn't anticipate. It was just his particular comedic genius that gave birth to it in the moment.
Hard not to laugh.
Yeah, hard not to laugh doing a scene with Frank. You know.
His and Les, when they joined together, a lot of times they had some hilarious things together.
Exactly. Two squares at war with one another.
Well, thank you.
Sure thing.
How did you take, was it from beginning to end, or did you do like one scene, all the scenes?
We shot the show in the afternoon without our audience. So, because there were some cast members who were not particularly comfortable performing in front of an audience, preferred to relate just to the cameras. And then, after a dinner break, an audience of about 300 people would be brought into the studio in bleachers, and we would shoot the show with a band, with a live band to play between scenes.
And Hugh Wilson, who created the show, did all the stand-up, so he kept everybody in the moment.
Hugh would talk between scenes while they were moving all the cameras and the actors moving to another, because there'd be, in addition to the home set, the radio station, there'd be what called swing sets, say a house where something's taking place, or backstage in an auditorium or something. It would be out on the edge of the home sets. So you got to move equipment to shoot a scene in one of those swing sets. Somebody has to fill that time. It was Hugh, the creator of the show, who would take questions from the audience and talk about how the show came together. And then just before we were ready to shoot, he would be notified, and he would recap where we were in the story up until then, what had happened, and now let's see what's going to happen next. And we would do the next scene.
So it was like a great play situation. Like if you went to our show, you'd probably be there an hour with great music, lots of laughs and fun, and then go. Unlike a lot of shows that are shot today, and they bring in the second audience because you sit there over and over and over again and take after take.
We would generally, after shooting the entire show in front of an audience, the phrase was blow the audience out, and we would shoot scenes that they weren't sure about yet, maybe something that they didn't get in the can in the afternoon that hadn't gone that well in front of the audience, so we'd reshoot that scene or a portion of it because the camera movement was off. because we were shooting with 4 cameras simultaneously, and it's an incredible ballet. Yes, precisely.
Yeah, and so because Hugh hated canned laughter, he wanted to use the laughter that we got. If you didn't get laughter, it didn't get laughter. That was the way it was. He wasn't going to sweeten it. And so that's why the audience was, you know, you were speeding along with the play atmosphere, getting good laughs, and then they would go home and we'd have to reshoot something maybe, and use the laughter from the audience.
I've done my fair amount of sitcom work over the years, and I've never met anybody who had this attitude that Hugh Wilson had. He said there's always room for a 3 guys in the back joke, which is to say, it goes right over the heads of most of the audience, but there are 3 guys in the back row who find it funny. And that's okay. That's all you need.
Okay, for that young lady that asked if there's anybody that you guys inspired, even though I get carried for cigarettes, I'm over 35, and when I was a little kid, I was either going to be a DJ on the radio or a motorcycle cop being chips, and I ended up going with being a radio DJ, and I got like 2 quick questions. Number 1, like today, do you guys even listen to the radio anymore? Because the mom and pop shop is like gone, and Clear Channel owns everything, and you know, there's nothing like WKRP left. And then for Howard, like, what was it like to go from Dr. Johnny Fever to head of the class?
No need to genuflect, my man.
You know, do you guys still listen to radio at home, or you guys have iPod people? Or?
Yeah.
I listen almost exclusively to KJAZ, an FM jazz station out of Long Beach, California, that's listener sponsored and still has live DJs who program their own shows.
Well, how about you, like in the car, do you listen to the
I
radio?
listen to radio, and of course I have a husband who's in the music business, so we listen to a lot of serious radio that has disc jockeys and still has people that we listen to, like Uncle Brucey. Yeah.
And the head of the class question.
You know, I did 2 seasons of One Day at a Time